Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing an Odd Eyes Performapal deck profile. So I'm really excited to speak to you guys because this deck is actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Zach. And this deck is an extremely powerful deck to be able to play because you can make some absolutely incredible boards with this build. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. And definitely give Zach some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this one, guys. So first off, we're going to be playing a single copy of Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. This card is an awesome searcher in the deck, which is why we play this card as a one-of in the build, but it's also a really nostalgic card. We then play two copies of Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon. I feel like two copies in this build is totally fine because it's so easy to get to in this particular deck, but it has an awesome pendulum scale ability that if an Odd Eyes card you control is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can special summon one Odd Eyes monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard, which is an amazing effect to be able to do to instantly get one of our Odd Eyes cards on our side of the field. We then play three copies of Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon. Revolution Dragon is also a great searcher in the deck. By paying 500 life points and discarding this card to the graveyard, you can add one level 8 or lower Dragon Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand, which is a great ability for this card to have because we have a lot of cards we can actually search off this card's effect in this build. We then play just a single copy of Odd Eyes Persona Dragon. One copy of Persona Dragon in this particular deck is enough, but this card is great to be able to summon to your side of the field because it has a awesome monster effect that once returned, quick effect, you can actually target a face-up monster on the field that was special summoned from the extra deck, and it has its effects negated until the end of the turn, which is a great ability to be able to use. We then play three copies of Performapal Odd Eyes Seer. This card is a crazy 3-of in this build, and this card is absolutely amazing with all the Performapal cards we're playing in the deck. But it has a great ability to be able to target one Performapal or Odd Eyes card in your graveyard and add it to your hand, then destroy this card, which is a great ability to be able to use to grab back cards like your Revolution Dragon back out of the graveyard and add it to your hand. But a really cool thing about this card is that it's a scale 1, which helps you pendulum summon out a bunch of different cards. It also has a pretty neat monster effect that during your main phase, if you control this pendulum summon card, you can activate one of the following effects based on this card's battle position, that if it's in attack position, you can banish this card and then target a Performapal or an Odd Eyes monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And if it's in defense position, you can take a Performapal or an Odd Eyes pendulum monster from your deck and either add it to your extra deck face up or send it to the graveyard, which is a pretty cool ability for this card to have. We then play three copies of Performapal Skullcrabat Joker. This is still the best normal summon in the entire deck because it has a great ability that when it's normal summon, you can add a Performapal monster, a Magician Pendulum monster, or an Odd Eyes monster from your deck to your hand, essentially being the Stratos of the deck. We then play three copies of Performapal Odd Eyes Butler. This card is an amazing 3-of, and it's such a powerful card in this deck because it has a really cool ability that if this card's in your hand or your graveyard, you can target a Performapal or an Odd Eyes monster that you control, except another copy of this card, special summon this card, and then destroy that card, which will actually make your copies of Arc Pendulum go off and another card in the deck go off, which is really cool to combo this card with your copies of your Gintrude. Gintrude is an amazing card to be able to use with your copy of Butler because this card is a really cool monster effect that if this card is destroyed, you place a Performapal Pendulum monster from your deck in your Pendulum zone, except another copy of this card, which is a really cool ability to get you a monster on the field and replace your pendulum scale with the exact card that you need. I love this combo in the deck to be able to use these two cards together because it's such a powerful combo in this particular deck. We then play just a single copy of Lady Angie. Lady Angie works with your copy of Gintrude extremely well in this particular build because this card has a really cool ability that you can discard this card and one Performapal monster, except another copy of this card, to draw two cards. And if this card's in your graveyard and you control an Odd Eyes card or a Performapal Gintrude, you can place this card in your Pendulum zone, which is a really cool ability for this card to have. We then play just a single copy of Dissolver. Dissolver is basically like a walking polymerization, making this card a really good 1-of in the build. We then play a single copy of Monkey Board. Monkey Board is also a really good one-of in the deck because it has a great ability that unless you have a Performapal card in your other Pendulum Zone, this card's Pendulum Scale becomes 4, which you always will, so this card will remain a Scale 1. But it has the ability that during your main phase, if this card was activated this turn, you can add a level 4 or lower Performapal monster from your deck to your hand, pretty much being the searcher for the searcher, so you can search another card, which is such a cool thing about this particular card. We then play a single copy of Performapal Pendulum Sorcerer. Pendulum Sorcerer is really good as a one-of in the build because if this card is special summon, you can target it to 2 cards that you control and destroy them, and if you do, add Performapal monsters with different names from your deck to your hand, except this card from your deck to your hand, equal to the number of cards destroyed, which is a great ability to be able to pop 2 on the field and then add 2 to your hand, which is just such a cool ability about this card. We then play a single copy of Performapal Celestial Magician. Celestial Magician just helps out a lot because depending on the types of cards that you have on the field, depends on the bonus effects this card gets, which is really cool because during your main phase, if this card was normal or special summon this turn, you can apply the abilities depending on the different types of card that you have. If you have a fusion monster on your side of the field, this card can attack directly. If you have a synchro monster, your opponent can activate monster effects this turn. If you have a XZ monster, this card's attack becomes double its original attack. And if you have a pendulum monster during your end phase, you can add a pendulum monster from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool ability for this card to have. We then play a single copy of Performapal Odd Eyes Synchron. Synchron is a definite one-of in the build because this card helps you out a lot because it is a tuner monster to go in for a lot of really cool plays. We then play a single copy of Performapal Odd Eyes Valet. Valet is great as a one-of in the build because this card is a scale 8 and has a great ability that once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can make that opponent's monster lose 300 attack for each face-up pendulum monster in your extract, which can be a lot of attack loss that this card can actually make against your opponent's cards, making this card a definite one-of in the build and a really powerful card. It also has the ability that if this card is normal or special summon, you can actually send a Performapal or Odd Eyes monster from your deck to the grave, except another copy of this card, and if you do, this card's level becomes the same level as that monster until the end of the turn, which is a great effect to level modulate this card, but the really cool thing about this card is that it is a scale 8. We then play a single copy of Darkworm. You only need 1 copy of Darkworm in the deck. If this card is in your graveyard and you don't have any cards on your side of the field, you can special summon this card to your side of the field, which is a great ability for this card to have to instantly get it on your side of the field. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can actually search out your copy of Supreme King Gate 0. Gate 0 is a definite one-of in the build because it is a scale 0 and it's very easy to use in the deck, especially being able to pendulum summon this level 7 monster to your side of the field. We then play a single copy of Astrograph Sorcerer. Astrograph Sorcerer is really good in this particular build because if a card you control is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand and then choose 1 monster in your graveyard extract or that's been banished that was destroyed this turn and add a monster with the same name from your deck to your hand, giving you a search and a free special summon of a level 7 monster. For the only non-pendulum monster we're playing in the deck, I'm playing a single copy of Destrudo. Destrudo is just really good in this particular deck because it's very easy to summon to your side of the field by just paying half your life points. Plus we have cards like Foolish Burial and Dragon Shrine to be able to get it or your copy of Darkworm into the graveyard, which is just super, super cool. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Foolish Burial and a single copy of Dragon Shrine. These cards basically do the exact same thing. They send a dragon monster from your deck to the graveyard. You're usually never using your copy of Foolish Burial to send anything but your copy of Darkworm or Destrudo to the graveyard off these cards. So that's why I just put these 2 cards together, because you're always using this card to send Destrudo or Darkworm to the graveyard, which is very important to be able to do to extend your plays. We then play just a single copy of Duelist Alliance. This deck already has a lot of searchers, so I feel like 1 copy of this card is totally fine because it has the ability, if there is a card in your Pendulum Zone, you can add a Pendulum monster or a Pendulum Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand, which is a great ability for this card to have, but it is a once per turn. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is really good as a one-of in the deck just to make sure that you're going to stop your opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. We then play 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talents. This card is great to help you draw 2 or either look at your opponent's hand and shuffle a card back in the deck, or take control of an opponent's monster, which is super good to be able to help you make link plays, XZ plays, all those really cool plays with this card. But your opponent does have to activate a monster effect during your turn to activate this card. We then play just 2 copies of Spiral Flame Strike. This deck focuses more on the Performapal cards, but this card is really good to help you add a level 7 on-ice monster from your deck to your hand, which is just a really cool ability for this card to have. That if you control an on-ice as well, you have the ability to target a card on the field, which is great to be able to draw multiple copies of this card, because you can just use this card to pop a card, and it's just a really good 2-of in the deck. We then play 2 copies of Sky Iris. Sky Iris is really good in this particular deck to be able to work with your copy of Arc Pendulum, and it's a great card in this build because it has the ability that your opponent cannot target Magician, Performapal, or Odd Eyes cards in your Pendulum zone with card effects, and you can also target one of their face-up card that you control and destroy it, and if you do, add an Odd Eyes card from your deck to your hand. And I did consider dropping out the copy of Called by the Grave for another copy of this, which you guys can do if you want to for this particular build. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with a single copy of Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Vortex Dragon is a really good walking negate for the deck, and it's super easy to put on your side of the field with your copy of Dissolver. We then play a single copy of Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel is super easy to synchro summon into because you don't even have to use a tuner to make this card. You can literally just use any card that you want to be able to use that's light and dark to make this card. And if you put a light monster in this card, then synchro monsters you control are unaffected by monster effects activated by your opponent. And if you put a dark monster in this card, then monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. We then play a single copy of Baron de Fleur. Baron de Fleur is very easy to step into. This card is a awesome walking negate. 1 copy of Boral Load Savage Dragon. Again, very easy to make in this build, and a really good card to be able to make in the deck because it's a walking negate. By equipping a copy of a link monster to this card gains half the attack of that link monster when it's summoned to your side of the field, and it also has the ability to be able to generate Boral counters on it, to be able to remove those Boral counters depending on the link rating of the link monster equipped to this card, and then negate a card, which is just super good. We then play a single copy of Tilting Entrainment. This card is great in the deck to be able to summon, and it's just a really good card overall for combos, especially to summon out your copy of Baron de Fleur. And it's a really cool ability. If this card is synchro summon, you can special summon a level 4 lower Pendulum monster from your hand or face up from your extract, which is really good because this card almost works like a copy of the Excel Stardust Dragon with this particular build, because you're going to use Odd Eyes Synchron plus level 6 to be able to step into this card, and then step from this card into a copy of Baron de Fleur. Just make sure you keep your extra monster zone unlocked, or have a link monster to be able to point to your side of the field so you can summon that monster from the extract, which is going to be your copy of Odd Eyes Performapal Synchron. We then play a single copy of Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon. This card is a good 1-of in the build and just helps out overall in the deck as a 1-of in this build. We then play a single copy of the Odd Eyes Rebellion XZ Dragon. You're only playing this card in the deck because it has the ability that it just takes 2 level 7 Pendulum monsters to be able to make this card. You're usually never activating this card's ability. You're just stepping from this card into a copy of Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon Overlord. Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon Overlord is a really cool OTK card that has the ability that you can also XZ summon this card using a Rebellion XZ monster you control as material, making it super easy to step from this card into your copy of your Overlord. And Overlord can attack 3 times per battle phase, making it a great OTK card for the deck. We then play a single copy of Absolute Dragon. Absolute Dragon is absolutely amazing because it has the ability, if this XZ summon card is sent to the grave, you can special summon 1 Odd Eyes monster from your extract, which can be your copy of Vortex Dragon, it can be your copy of Meteor Burst Dragon, and it can even be your copy of your Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon, making it even easier to step into your copy of your Overlord, which is just such a cool card to be able to make. We then play a single copy of Bagooska. Bagooska is just in case we need to lock down for a turn, and this card is really good in this particular deck. We then play a single copy of Access Code to be able to pop cards on the field. This card is just amazing in this particular build to be able to pop additional cards on the field. One copy of Appaloosa. This card is a must in the deck because you do swarm the field extremely easily in this board, or in this particular deck, and this card counts towards your monster negates you're going to be putting on the field in this deck. We then play a single copy of Selene because this card helps us step into a copy of Access Code extremely easily. We then play a single copy of Beyond the Pendulum. Beyond the Pendulum is really good in any Pendulum deck to help you pop cards, also searching Pendulum monsters. And then finally, a single copy of IP Masquerena. IP is really good to help you step into your copy of Selene or Appaloosa during the opponent's turn, to be able to step from IP to your copy of Appaloosa during the opponent's turn, which is really, really good. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. I absolutely love this particular deck, especially with all the Performapal cards in the deck. It's just a really cool particular Pendulum deck that can summon out all sorts of amazing cards and is based on a really nostalgic monster. So, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.